battle with the toughest opponent it has ever faced.
Do not underestimate this enemy that we're going to fight tomorrow.
Not in Iraq, not in Kuwait, but in the California desert. We'll take you into the trenches on Amazing America. From the southwestern desert outside of Las Vegas, Nevada, welcome to another episode of Amazing America. I'm Wayne Cotter. You know, when tanks were first used during World War I, they were too small and too awkward to make a difference in any major battle. However, these days, having superior armored power really can make all the difference between victory and defeat. Of course, just having a tank doesn't guarantee success. You need a good agent. No, it's knowing how to use these fighting machines that really gives them their greatest value. The American Army is in a fight for its life against the toughest foe it will ever meet. U.S. state-of-the-art equipment and air support offer no advantage against this enemy. The battle has been underway for just a few hours. It will be over shortly, and the Americans will lose. The next time they fight, they will lose again. Oddly enough, this is the expected outcome. Welcome to the U.S. Army's School of Hard Knocks, arguably the toughest classroom on the planet. In the heart of the Mojave Desert sits Fort Irwin, California, home of the National Training Center.
Fort Irwin and the National Training Center is the Army's crown jewel of training. That's what we like to call it. It is the only place within our Army that we can train on the scale that we are able to do here, which is brigade-size operations against a thinking, scheming opponent called the opposing force, and that's who we represent.
The opposing force, known as OPFOR, is Black Horse, the 11th Armored Cavalry Regiment. Over the past 90 years, Black Horse has seen action in the Philippines, Cuba, and led the last mounted cavalry charge in U.S. history against Pancho Villa in Mexico. They fought in France, Vietnam, and saw the wall come down between East and West Germany. Today, Black Horse is permanently based at Fort Irwin, and it is their proud duty to train the U.S. Army.
The opposing force, represented by the 11th Armored Cavalry Regiment, represents a generic opponent. We try to take from worldwide military doctrines everything that we might face as an Army on the modern battlefield, put those together into what is essentially the world's greatest opponent for the world's best Army.
Once a month, every month of the year, about 5,000 visiting soldiers arrive at Fort Irwin for a grueling 28-day training mission called a rotation. These guests are known as BLUEFOR.
When Blue Forces, U.S. Army units, come to Fort Irwin, they face an opponent that can challenge them in all 7 of what we call the battlefield operating systems: fire support, intelligence, air defense, maneuver, mobility, counter-mobility, engineer operations. We can challenge the U.S. Army above their capability in all of those areas. The bottom line is we want to provide an opponent that trains our Army to a level that if it faces any opponent on the battlefield, that opponent will be below what they face at the NTC.
And they do just that. For 2 weeks of the month-long rotation, BLUEFOR and OPFOR camp out in the desert and face each other in force-on-force war games. OPFOR plays the part of an aggressive invading army, and it is the job of the visiting BLUEFOR to repel them. It's a fight to the finish, one winner and one loser.
Do not underestimate this enemy that we're going to fight tomorrow. Expect them to be able to maneuver on us, They got better equipment, they got better assets, and if they get the capability to put that together, they can take big advantage of us.
Before each battle, both sides prepare thoroughly, making predictions about the enemy's plan of attack and rehearsing different options for the fight ahead of them.
What it's going to be is we're going to kill one task force and then we're going to go kill the other one.
Kill BLUEFOR.
In reality, these battles are a multi-million-dollar game of laser tag. The issue of who shot who is left up to a referee named Miles.
MILE stands for Multiple Integrated Laser Engagement System. And how it works is each vehicle is equipped with sensors on it. And each vehicle is equipped with a transmitter.
Every weapon on the battlefield fires a laser, and every target, human and mechanical, is covered with sensors that record hits and misses.
This here is a M2 heavy barrel machine gun. It's mounted with a blank firing adapter because out here, like I said, we're training, so we don't want to actually hurt anybody. So we use blanks. That we load up in our weapon. This is a transmitter. It senses the compression from the air, sends out a laser beam saying that we've shot.
When a laser hits these sensors, it sends a message to the computer telling what kind of round hit us and tells what kind of kill it gave us, if it did give us a kill.
When a kill is made, an amber beacon flashes defeat, and the tank is out of the battle.
It's our kill indicator light, but we call it a whoopee light or a lunch light, which mainly BLUEFOR use because if you usually die when your light goes off, they usually start eating lunch. That's why it's called a lunch light.
Air Defense warning, weapon control status as
This is the Operations Center, or Star Wars as they like to call it. Every move, every shot, every kill on the battlefield is tracked here. This is also where they launch theoretical artillery strikes.
360 rounds, 122 rocket, DP.
Down the hall from the Operations Center is the television recording facility. Mobile vans scattered across the battlefield transmit pictures back to the Operations Center. Within a few hours, edited video highlights of the battle, computer-generated graphics, and first-hand accounts from observers are delivered to the battlefield for brutally honest meetings called after-action reviews. These hot wash meetings, as they're known, are as vital to the training process as the battle that has just been fought.
Sometimes these sessions can be very, very tough, especially if you're on the losing end, but at the same time, the level of learning and the level of professionalism rises after each battle with that discussion.
Where I failed in this particular mission was we knew we might have to fight a shallow fight straight off the LD. And in the Mars Diamonds operation, I did not put any graphic control measures in there to control that fight.
And I think that is really what NTC gives the Army, is an opportunity to train, to make some mistakes, to grow from those mistakes, and become more professional without the tragic burden of having to deal with real-world casualties and fatalities. And I think, in my opinion, that's what won the Gulf War for the U.S. Army and the coalition forces, was the training that they received here at the National Training Center.
America's most famous tank commander, George Patton, once commented that he wasn't interested in his own troops dying for their country. He'd rather see enemy troops die for their country. George was a pretty funny guy. One of the most famous desert warriors, T.E. Lawrence, better known as Lawrence of Arabia, was victorious in battle because he was able to adapt Western military doctrine to the unique conditions of the desert. And in my own way, I'm trying to adapt to the unique conditions of the desert as well.
It may be in the California desert, but a tour of duty at Fort Irwin isn't exactly a stay in Palm Springs.
They rang me up one day and asked me how I fancied 2 years in Southern California. And I guess I had the TV image of Southern California, which isn't quite what it's like here, but there have been a lot of other compensations. National Training Center is a little daunting on first appearance when you come over the hill and see this little oasis of light in the middle of the desert. But although the place does appear remote and perhaps it doesn't have all the facilities of a major city, there are so many compensations.
Fort Irwin is basically 1,000 square miles of desert wasteland with a few added amenities. But the Army does its best to make these desert dwellers feel at home. They've built new houses and schools. For a night out on the town, there's a bowling alley and a movie theater. And for the younger residents, there are parks and playgrounds. But even with supermarkets, ATMs, and fast food, there's still no getting away from the fact that Fort Irwin is a vital part of our national defense and not a vacation resort.
Well, you got to come here with an open mind, you know. You know, the mission always comes first, and it's just something you have to deal with on a regular basis. You know, you don't get every weekend off. You know, and the time that you do have off, you pretty much deserve, you know. I think we deserve a lot more than we get, but it's just part of the job, you know. It's just something you have to accept.
Another aspect that's hard to accept is the heat. The average summer temperature is a sizzling 110 degrees.
The heat is unbearable, but you learn to deal with it. You never get used to it. Don't let nobody tell you that. You don't get used to it. You learn to deal with it. You learn different ways how to avoid it and hide from it.
No matter how much water you drink, you lose a lot of weight. You drop 10 pounds easy, just from being in the field for a week or two. And you go back in and get it back.
The searing desert sun accounts for some of the weight loss in the field, but then again, the Army food makes its own unique contribution to dieting Fort Irwin style.
This is the MREs that we get out here. We get these when we don't get hot chow. We got a box of these on every tank. This one right here is chicken with rice. There's different varieties on here.
MRE stands for Meal Ready to Eat, but no one we talked to seemed ready to eat them.
MRE just for emergency situation. But now we just chill out. Now we have a barbecue. Why not?
This one's all right, I guess. To me, it tastes good, but there's some of them in there that you just don't eat unless you have to.
We do give them MREs. In fact, they're gonna have an MRE for breakfast and MRE for lunch tomorrow.
It's starting to get real hot now. See all this thing coming up on the top.
They had hot days tonight, which the first sergeant brought out. But the platoons for morale help bring their own food because the stuff gets repetitive after a while.
This is our gourmet meal right here. Doesn't look too appetizing.
And the reason why we can do this in the OPFOR is because right now we're supposed to be simulating actually road marching into battle, so we're not in a tactical situation at all. So they go ahead and have a little platoon party to enjoy themselves.
You want to try some?
Regular snacks and junk food that the soldiers bring in on their own are called pogey bait. We don't know what that means, but it's part of Army speak, the code that dominates nearly every conversation.
All right, Regimental Reconnaissance LDs tonight at 0130 with 4 BMPs, 4 BRDMs, 2 RKHs, 2 GSRs, and an engineer reconnaissance patrol.
Well, I mean, the entire intent is to speed things up. I mean, that's the bottom line. You know, you don't really want to go and, you know, if you have to talk about the MRB is LDing at this time, the CRPs are in front, followed by the FSCs and the AGMB. Okay, I know exactly what that means, but if I actually said we're crossing the line of departure with the combat reconnaissance patrols out front, followed by the forward security element and the advanced guard main body, well, I've now taken 10 or 12 seconds away that I could be using killing the BLUEFOR.
On the job, the U.S. Army and the soldiers of OPFOR like to collect things, very large and dangerous things from all over the world.
And this first piece we have is the ZSU-23-4, which is a self-propelled anti-aircraft piece. It can be used with or without a radar, and it was a very, very important piece for us during a desert storm. Very, very dangerous. It's a high-value target. You see one, you need to take it out immediately.
The National Training Center has an inventory of Soviet war-making equipment. Many of these pieces were captured during the Gulf War and brought back here for analysis. OPFOR uses captured Soviet-made equipment during war games to give the visiting BLUEFOR units a chance to do battle against the real thing.
That's our responsibility here at the NTC, is to make sure that the other units coming here, you know, that we're not pushovers, so that they get that good, hard, realistic training.
We'll find out if BLUEFOR gets that good, hard, realistic training when we return and put you inside an OPFOR tank in the middle of the battle against BLUEFOR.
Well, they talk the talk, but do they walk the walk? Can BLUEFOR defeat OPFOR? Well, when the CRPs really do LD and the FSC follows right behind them, we'll find out soon enough. These are the final moments before the first battle of this month's rotation. As usual, the OPFOR forces are calmly confident.
Hey, good morning. Okay, gentlemen, last night, scout push came out. Looked like a section in the north. 5 Scout Humvees, orientation. Northwest corner of Iron Triangle, heading down.
OPFOR, the opposing force, are about to launch an attack against their latest visiting challengers, who are known as BLUEFOR. This is Sergeant Wayne Walls of OPFOR. He knows that BLUEFOR will be going all out to defeat his unit today to try to put a dent in their impressive 90% win rate.
We have a reputation for being real strong and tough on the battlefield. And upholding that reputation is one in itself. So that's what gets me in the game. I don't want to lose.
Anybody got any questions? All right, gentlemen, let's get them. This is it.
All right, let's go, pick up. All right.
This is the central corridor by the dawn's early light. Out of the west, OPFOR war machines are rushing toward 1,000,000 tons of BLUEFOR. Sergeant Walls is the tank commander for 15 Tango, 1st Platoon Delta Tank. 1st Platoon is part of OPFOR's advanced guard. Their job this morning is to seek out and destroy BLUEFOR's lead task force. Then they will try to stop the 2nd task force so that the OPFOR main body can envelop and destroy BLUEFOR. Just minutes after departure, 2 tanks suffer mechanical failure and drop out of the fight. Before a single shot is fired, 1st Platoon has lost half its heavy firepower. They will have to react quickly to find and contain BLUEFOR.
We're getting close to the point of contact. So what we want to do is bring all our vehicles online so we can mass our firepower and take as many of them out on our first round as possible.
Target is at grid. Tree 9er, moving northwest, Trees 9er, moving northwest to hostile fixed wing. Dynamite.
The officers here in the training analysis facility are watching both sides of the battle line.
Explains why I can't track them.
They monitor and study all aspects of the war games for review by both sides later.
What we're going to need to do is crossing the road. You're going to need to watch it because OPFOR is going to be crossing the road.
This morning, BLUEFOR is on a swift and aggressive attack. Both sides are taking heavy losses.
Hey, 15 Tango, this is 16 Tango actual, over. This is 15 Tango. Roger, you don't want to go that way. We just got hit by something and went down, over. Make right. Hurry up, pick up. Which way? Come right. Go.
15 Tango is the only remaining tank in 1st Platoon.
Hey. Make a right and hit that left.
They reach an old sunken railroad called the racetrack. Private Pitcock drives the tank down into the gully. This is a perfect fighting spot. The gunner, Sergeant Ortiz, can shoot over the lip of the berm while most of the tank is hidden.
Yeah, ain't no one shooting us down here.
This BLUEFOR M1A1 Abrams main battle tank sure didn't see them.
Right to our right. Come right at us. 16 Tango at 0. You got trees in front of you. Roger, are you down? Are you going to jump over? Yeah, Roger, I'm going to try, but I don't see anyone near me. This is 15 Tango. You got a Mike Ward working his way around on your front. This is 15 Tango. I see him. Southeast side. You're correct. Southwest side of the racetrack, hugging the berm. Fire. Come on, Ortiz. Hey, 10 Delta, 16 Tango actual. 3. Fire. No, there's a tree. Pull forward. Stop. What's our plan? And are you talking on higher? Over. Fire. Okay. Pull back. Pull back in the smoke. We were surprised, and I guess we surprised him. There's another tank about 300 meters away from us. He was looking one way, we were looking the other way. We saw him first, and we took a couple shots at him. We just slugged it out, basically, and we won. He's over there dead.
Walls, Ortiz, and Pitcock killed 2 more M1A1 tanks.
Oh, stop! Pull back! Pull back!
And ambushed an M113 armored personnel carrier. Then, disaster struck.
Roger, put it in the air. Shoot it! Need to put that brigade
A computer-generated artillery strike landed on their sector. 1-5 Tango, 1st Platoon Delta Tank, is dead. Their lunch light is on. But the battle is far from over. BLUEFOR came out strong, and if they'd maintained initiative, they just might have won. But OPFOR's record remains intact for another day.
Hell of a fight today. Hell of a fight. All right, let's review the rules real quick. Let's get everybody involved. Everybody needs to participate. Need everybody to speak up. No thin skins. We kicked that ass today, no doubt about it. But we're gonna highlight the negatives. That's inherent to the ARs. We're highlighting the negatives. Don't get defensive. Let's all take the lessons learned and drive on.
The lessons of the day are discussed at after-action reviews. This is the OPFOR Regimental Hot Wash. It's over 100 degrees out here, and it's about to get hotter.
In every MRB out here, we got some stuff to work on before this regimental attack, or we're really going to be hurting tomorrow. Now, what I need you to do is, we need to find out now what problems we had, because we did have a lot of problems. We were very close to not making it today, and we went back and rescued it.
As harsh as this criticism sounds, all the hard work, sacrifice, and expense put toward these war games would be wasted if the evaluations were not brutally honest. This is not about gamesmanship. This is about training the U.S. Army to fight. That means BLUEFOR and OPFOR.
And let's not underestimate them. I think we almost might have underestimated them a little bit too much today. Don't do that again on the deliberate attack. On the objective, Nelson Lake, Goldstone, let's be back there day after tomorrow. Okay, kill BLUEFOR.
We'll be back with more Amazing America. Stay tuned. The action, the conditions, the tension made it seem like a very real combat engagement. And these OPFOR guys do it all the time. Incredible. That's it for this edition of Amazing America. Thanks for joining us. I'm Wayne Cotter, and we'll see you next time.
Coming up, it's no wonder we find helicopters so fascinating. Watch as choppers chop their way across the battlefield on Real History, next from TLC.